Hi, it's Victor again, and based on popular demand, now I have part 3 of the Kubernetes for Product Manager series. One might say this should be part 1 because what we are going to speak about are the basic building blocks of the cloud native ecosystem, so to say. That is Terraform, Kubernetes, and Docker. What they are, and how do they fit together into something that we have even spoken about in the previous videos. So, what the buzz is about. First of all, what is Docker? Docker is container technology. There are other container technologies as well, but Docker is the most well-known, the most popular, and the one that Kubernetes and other tools are built upon. So we are only focusing on that. From a use case perspective, I think the easiest way to understand is that often application development ends by building a Docker container. And that's why the GitLab look with the package stage is really, really central to the whole DevOps life cycle, because basically that's where the development team hands over a container to the DevOps team, just so to say, or to the ops part of the organization. And containers are the standard interface that from the outside it's totally standard, while the developers know what's inside and the operators don't have to know what's inside. Now, what Kubernetes is a programmable API, as we have seen, but by default, Kubernetes is a container orchestration engine. So what Kubernetes does is, if you have microservices, that means that you will have hundreds or thousands of containers running to provide your services. Managing containers at that scale is a problem, it's an issue. And that's where Kubernetes comes into the play, because it will spin up new containers of a specific kind when load increases. It checks whether containers are healthy. If they are not, then it restarts them, and it orchestrates all these containers based on load and requirements. Again, going back to the application developer perspective, often application developers have no idea how to use Kubernetes directly. They typically receive a higher level abstraction from a platform team who makes it easy for the application teams to use Kubernetes. How this is done, it depends on a company-by-company basis, but that's the basic idea, that we don't want developers to work on Kubernetes, we want them to work on the application logic, create a container perhaps, but even that might be taken over by the platform team, and then developers just get the metrics and the logs and know how to troubleshoot things when needed. The third topic that was mentioned as a question was Terraform. So Terraform is actually used to set up the basic infrastructure, to create the Kubernetes cluster itself. That's what you can use Terraform for. You can create anything, you can run any action with Terraform that has an API. You can think of Terraform actually as a layer on top of the APIs. That's why GitLab has a Terraform provider. So if you want, you can manage your GitLab instance with Terraform. You can create GitLab projects, set up GitLab users, and all kinds of stuff with that. But the same is true for AWS. You can use Terraform to start a new VPC, to start a new Kubernetes cluster, set up users and roles within AWS and manage those, attach them to the cluster, to everything. And once you created this cluster using Terraform, then you have your Kubernetes cluster, you have your Docker containers, and you can just tie all of these together into your own platform to deliver your software to the users. Now, what I have seen, that application developers often don't even know what Terraform is. They might not even know about its existence, actually. They might have heard about CloudFormation, which is an alternative, an AWS-specific alternative for Terraform, for the same functionality, but basically Terraform is often just totally unknown to them as a technology. So this is how these things get together. And seriously, what I think it's a nice idea to know what the different users know about these technologies, especially as GitLab's focus is on the developer, that we want to be developer first. This means that actually their work ends at building the container, and every other work is to support the application developers so that they can focus only on the application logic.